Welcome back to my channel, everyone. I'm Dr. Amelia Wright, and for over 25 years, I've been working with men and their partners on matters of health, relationships, and well-being. This is a safe space where we talk openly about topics that many find difficult to discuss. And today, I want to address something that affects countless men, but is rarely spoken about with the honesty and compassion it deserves. I want to talk with you about male sexual health, specifically about erectile difficulties and how to prevent them naturally. Now, I know this isn't an easy topic. Society's taught us to feel embarrassed or ashamed when discussing such intimate matters. But I'm here to tell you that there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. This is your health we're talking about. And looking after yourself is one of the most important acts of self-respect and self-love you can practice. Over my years in practice, I've seen how these issues can affect not just physical health, but emotional well-being, relationships, and overall quality of life. What I've learned is that sexual health isn't just about what happens in the bedroom. It's deeply connected to how we eat, how we manage stress, our daily habits, and the quality of our relationships. Everything's interconnected, you see. Today, I'm going to share with you some natural approaches, practical advice, and specific steps you can take starting today. These aren't magic solutions, I'm afraid, but they're backed by both traditional wisdom and modern research. More importantly, they work. I've seen the results firsthand with my patients over the years. Let me start by saying this. If you're experiencing these difficulties, you're not alone. Studies show that roughly 40% of men over 40 experience some form of erectile difficulty, and that number increases with age. But here's the good news. Many of these issues can be prevented or improved through natural means, without necessarily resorting to medication straight away. Let's talk about natural remedies first, shall we? For centuries, various cultures have used plants and herbs to support men's sexual health. And modern science is now catching up with this ancient wisdom. Ginseng is perhaps one of the most well-researched. I typically recommend Korean red ginseng, specifically. Studies have shown that taking between 1 and 3 grams daily can improve erectile function. What it does is help relax the muscles in the penis and improve blood flow. One particular study from South Korea found that 60% of men taking ginseng reported improvement after 8 weeks. Now, that's quite promising, isn't it? But you need to be patient. Don't expect overnight results. Give it at least 6 to 8 weeks of consistent use before judging whether it's working for you. Maca root is another excellent option. This Peruvian plant has been used for centuries to boost energy, stamina, and libido. I usually suggest starting with 1.5 to 3 grams per day. You can get it as a powder, which mixes quite nicely into smoothies or porridge. What I find particularly interesting about maca is that it doesn't just work on the physical level. It also helps with mood and energy, which, as we'll discuss shortly, are absolutely crucial for sexual function. Research from Massachusetts General Hospital found that men taking maca reported improved sexual desire after just 8 weeks. Now, let's talk about something you've probably got in your kitchen already. Did you know that watermelon can act rather like a natural Viagra? It contains an amino acid called citrulline, which your body converts into arginine and then into nitric oxide. This compound helps dilate blood vessels and improve blood flow. You'd need to eat quite a bit of watermelon to get a significant effect, mind you, but it's a delicious addition to your diet regardless. I tell my patients to enjoy a good slice most days during summer and consider citrulline supplements of about 3 to 6 grams daily if they want a more concentrated dose. Blueberries are another powerhouse. They're packed with antioxidants that protect your blood vessels and improve circulation. A study from the University of East Anglia found that men who ate flavonoid-rich foods like blueberries had a 14% lower risk of erectile difficulties. I recommend a handful every morning with your breakfast. Don't forget about nuts, especially walnuts and almonds. They contain L-arginine, healthy fats, and magnesium, all of which support vascular health. Just a small handful, about 30 grams, daily is sufficient. And dark chocolate, the proper stuff with at least 70% cocoa, contains flavonoids that improve blood flow. A square or two after dinner isn't just a treat, it's actually beneficial. But moderation's key, as with everything. Now, whilst it's important to know what to include in your diet, it's equally crucial to understand what to avoid. Some habits can significantly undermine your sexual health, and I've seen this time and time again in my practice. Excessive alcohol is one of the biggest culprits. A pint or a glass of wine with dinner is perfectly fine, but when you're regularly drinking more than that, you're setting yourself up for problems. Alcohol depresses your nervous system, and whilst it might make you feel relaxed initially, it impairs your ability to achieve and maintain an erection. Chronic heavy drinking can actually damage nerves and blood vessels permanently. I've had patients who've seen dramatic improvements simply by cutting their drinking to within recommended limits. That's no more than 14 units per week, spread over several days, according to NHS guidelines. Smoking is another habit you must address if you're serious about your sexual health. I won't mince words here. Smoking is absolutely dreadful for erectile function. Nicotine constricts your blood vessels, reducing blood flow throughout your body, including to your penis. Studies have shown that men who smoke are nearly twice as likely to experience erectile difficulties compared to non-smokers. The good news? Your blood vessels can begin to recover within weeks of quitting. I've seen men in their 60s regain function they'd lost simply by giving up cigarettes. It's never too late. Now, let's discuss something that doesn't get talked about enough: stress and anxiety. In my 25 years of practice, I'd say at least half of the erectile difficulties I see have a significant psychological component. Performance anxiety in particular creates a vicious cycle. You worry about your performance, which causes problems, which then makes you worry even more. Here's what I tell my patients. Your mind and body aren't separate entities. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline, hormones that constrict blood vessels and make erections difficult. Learning to manage stress isn't just good for your mental health, it's essential for your sexual health too. I recommend starting with deep breathing exercises. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but it works. Try this. Spend 10 minutes each evening breathing in slowly for 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, and breathing out for 6 counts. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for relaxation and, incidentally, erections. Meditation is another powerful tool. You don't need to sit cross-legged chanting mantras unless you want to. Just 10 minutes a day of quiet reflection, perhaps using a guided meditation app, can make a remarkable difference. Studies have shown that mindfulness meditation can improve sexual function by reducing anxiety and increasing awareness of physical sensations. Yoga's particularly beneficial. Not only does it reduce stress, but certain poses improve blood flow to the pelvic region. I often recommend poses like cobra, bow, and shoulder stand. If you're new to yoga, start with a beginner's class. Many community centers offer them quite affordably. Communication with your partner is absolutely vital. I can't stress this enough. So many couples suffer in silence, each feeling inadequate and unsupported. If you're experiencing difficulties, talk to your partner openly. Share your concerns, your fears, your frustrations. More often than not, you'll find they're more understanding and supportive than you imagined. This isn't just your problem, it's something you face together as a couple. Let's talk about exercise now, because this is one of the most powerful natural interventions available to you. Regular physical activity improves cardiovascular health, boosts testosterone levels, reduces stress, and enhances blood flow throughout your body. All of these directly impact erectile function. I recommend at least 30 minutes of moderate exercise 5 days a week. Brisk walking counts. So does cycling, swimming, or playing tennis. Find something you enjoy because you're more likely to stick with it. One study found that men who were physically active had a 41% lower risk of erectile difficulties compared to sedentary men. That's quite significant, isn't it? Pelvic floor exercises, or Kegels as they're commonly known, are particularly important. Many people think these are just for women, but that's absolutely not the case. Strengthening your pelvic floor muscles can dramatically improve erectile function and ejaculatory control. Here's how to do them. Next time you're urinating, try to stop the flow midstream. The muscles you use to do that are your pelvic floor muscles. Once you've identified them, you can exercise them anywhere, anytime. Squeeze those muscles, hold for 5 seconds, then relax for 5 seconds. Repeat this 10 times, 3 times a day. After a few weeks, you'll likely notice improvement. Research from the University of the West of England found that 40% of men with erectile difficulties regain normal function through pelvic floor exercises alone. Now, I want to address sleep, because it's often overlooked. Poor sleep disrupts your hormone production, particularly testosterone, which peaks during REM sleep. If you're not getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night, you're compromising your sexual health. I recommend establishing a regular sleep schedule, keeping your bedroom cool and dark, and avoiding screens for at least an hour before bed. If you snore heavily or wake up feeling exhausted despite adequate sleep time, speak to your GP about sleep apnea. It's more common than you might think, and treating it can significantly improve erectile function. Let me give you a practical timeline here, because I know you're wondering when you'll see results. If you start implementing these changes today, here's roughly what to expect. Within 2 weeks, you should notice improved energy levels and better sleep. After 4 to 6 weeks, if you're taking supplements like Ginseng or Maca consistently, you might start noticing subtle improvements in libido and function. By 3 months, if you're exercising regularly, managing stress better, and eating well, most of my patients report significant improvements. But remember, everyone's different. Some men see results sooner, others take longer. Patience and consistency are key. I also want to talk about body weight briefly. If you're carrying extra weight, particularly around your middle, this can significantly affect erectile function. Excess body fat, especially visceral fat around your organs, increases inflammation and disrupts hormone balance. Studies show that losing just 5 to 10% of your body weight can improve erectile function. You don't need to become a marathon runner. Even modest weight loss makes a real difference. Here's something practical I do with my patients. I have them keep a simple journal. Nothing elaborate, just a few notes each day about what they ate, how much they exercised, their stress levels, and any improvements they notice. This helps identify patterns and keeps you motivated when you see progress over time. Let me share something from my own experience. About 15 years ago, I had a patient, I'll call him David, who came to me quite distressed about erectile difficulties. He was 62, overweight, stressed from work, smoking half a pack a day, and drinking rather heavily most evenings. He thought medication was his only option. I suggested we try a natural approach first. He was skeptical, but willing to try. We worked together over 6 months. He quit smoking, cut his drinking to weekends only, started walking 40 minutes each day, took up yoga once a week, and added ginseng and pelvic floor exercises to his routine. He also began talking more openly with his wife, which he said made an enormous difference to their relationship overall. Within 3 months, he noticed improvements. By 6 months, he told me he felt better than he had in his 40s. He didn't need medication at all. Now, I'm not saying medication doesn't have its place. Sometimes it does, and there's no shame in that whatsoever. But I've seen countless men achieve excellent results through natural means, and that's always worth trying first. I want to circle back to something I mentioned earlier. the connection between your emotions and your physical function. In my experience, this is where many men struggle. You've been taught from a young age that you should always be ready, always capable, that your worth as a man is somehow tied to your sexual performance. That's an enormous burden to carry, and it's simply not true. Your value as a person, as a partner, has nothing to do with your erectile function. You're dealing with a health issue, not a character flaw. The sooner you can internalize that, the better. When you stop putting so much pressure on yourself, often the very problem you're worried about improves on its own. I've seen this happen repeatedly. If you find yourself spiraling into anxiety about performance, try this. Focus on connection and intimacy with your partner rather than the end goal. Touch, kiss, talk, laugh together. Take the pressure off penetration being the sole measure of success. Many couples discover that when they broaden their definition of intimacy, their entire relationship improves, not just the sexual aspect. Before I finish, I want to give you some very specific action steps you can take starting today. First, schedule a checkup with your GP if you haven't had one recently. Erectile difficulties can sometimes be an early warning sign of cardiovascular disease or diabetes, so it's worth getting checked out. Your doctor can also test your testosterone levels and screen for other underlying conditions. Second, start with just 1 or 2 changes rather than trying to overhaul your entire life overnight. Perhaps commit to walking 30 minutes daily and cutting your alcohol consumption in half. Once those become habits, add something else, like pelvic floor exercises or ginseng supplementation. Third, have that conversation with your partner if you haven't already. Pick a calm moment, not in the bedroom, and explain what you're experiencing and how you'd like their support. You might be surprised by how much closer this brings you together. Fourth, give yourself time. Remember, you didn't develop these issues overnight, and they won't resolve overnight either. Commit to these changes for at least 3 months before judging their effectiveness. Keep that journal I mentioned, noting any improvements, no matter how small. And finally, be kind to yourself. You're taking positive steps to improve your health. That's something to be proud of, not ashamed of. Every small change you make is an investment in your well-being, your relationships, and your future. I want you to know that I'm here to support you on this journey. If you found this helpful, please leave a comment below. Share your experiences, your challenges, or your questions. I read every single comment and do my best to respond. This community we're building together is one where everyone can feel safe discussing these important topics. If you'd like more detailed guidance, I've created a free downloadable checklist that breaks down everything we've discussed today into a simple 30-day plan. You'll find the link in the description below. It includes a daily tracker, shopping lists for the foods I've mentioned, and step-by-step instructions for the exercises. Next week, I'll be doing a follow-up video answering your questions, so please do leave them in the comments. Nothing's off limits here. If you're wondering about it, chances are dozens of other people are too. Remember, taking care of your sexual health is taking care of your overall health. It's all connected. The changes you make won't just improve your intimate life, they'll help you feel more energetic, more confident, and healthier overall. That's what this is really about, living your best life at any age. Thank you so much for watching, for trusting me with this topic, and for being part of this community. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and remember, you're stronger and more capable than you know.